Today, the sea beyond the cliffs of Collinwood is calm and motionless. What waves there are curl onto the beach with an almost tender touch. But the sea is never still. The unseen moon beckons the massive watery wastes, and almost against its will, the sea is drawn from the shore in tidal obedience to a distant force. And so sometimes it is with us. What force has beckoned, we do not know. But motionless and still, we move in answer to something unseen, not knowing whether we are being drawn from or toward some final shore.
Vicky? Are you in there? Vicky?
Oh, come in.
Is anything the matter?
No. Why?
Well, I knocked and you didn't even hear me.
I didn't?
Are you sure you're all right?
Yes, of course. I was just sitting here thinking.
You must have been doing some pretty deep thinking.
I was thinking about Maggie.
Maggie?
I thought I saw her the other day.
Saw her? But Vicky, Maggie is dead.
I know.
What do you mean you saw Maggie?
Well, it was like when you see something out of the corner of your eye and then you look and it's not really there. And that's how it was when I was in the cemetery.
In the cemetery?
Yes. I went there the other day.
But why?
I know you're going to think this sounds very silly, but it was Josette's birthday.
Josette's birthday.
You probably think I'm very sentimental, but I wanted to buy some flowers and put them on her grave.
I think there's more to it than just sentimentality.
What?
Well, if I didn't know you better, Vicky, I'd say you were still under the influence of that party the other night.
Well, I have to admit that I enjoyed going with Josette.
No, I don't think that's what got you most.
What then?
That seance. We really never should have done that. My mother's right. There's some things we just shouldn't fool around with.
She spoke through me, didn't she?
Vicky, I think you should forget all about it.
Well, it's not that important.
Well, that's what I thought at the time, but look at the effect it's having on you.
Look, I'm just feeling a little bit quiet, that's all. It's probably just the weather.
Was it the weather that made you think you saw Maggie Evans?
No. But then I didn't really see her.
But you thought you did.
Look, you're making an awful lot out of nothing.
And was it the weather that made you think you saw a little girl on the top of the stairs the night of the party?
I thought we agreed that that was just an effect of the seance.
Vicky, all I'm saying is that the effect hasn't really worn off yet.
But I'm all right. Really, I am.
Well, Burke has been waiting downstairs for almost half an hour.
Burke? But I
Vicky,
didn't know that.
Burke has taken you out on this particular night for the past 2 months.
I completely forgot.
Well, he's waiting.
But I'm not so sure that I want to go out tonight.
Where did you get this?
Don't you recognize it?
Yes, it was in Josette's room in the old house.
Mm-hmm. Barnabas gave it to me after the party.
Barnabas gave it to you?
Is that so strange?
No, I guess not.
I was listening to it when you came in. Do you want to hear it? Isn't it beautiful?
Yes. Vicky, do you mean you were just sitting here listening to that?
What's wrong with that?
Well, I don't know. It just isn't like you.
I could go on listening to it forever.
Well, you better make it some other time, because Burke is still waiting.
Oh, yes. Well, look, you tell him that I'll be downstairs in 10 seconds.
All right, but you stop listening to that, or it'll be 10 hours.
Maybe you're right.
I'm glad we've met, Devlin. I wanted to thank you again for coming to my party.
I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Well, I have to admit that it was a most unusual evening.
Barnabas, I didn't know you were here.
I was hoping to see Miss Winters.
Oh, Vicky said she'll be down in just a few minutes, Burke.
What did she do? Forget what night this is?
No, she just was a little busy, that's all.
I hope I'm not intruding.
Well, that all depends. Vicky and I have a date.
Of course. I only wanted to see her for a moment. I have something for her.
Is that it?
Yes. Would you like to see it?
Oh, it's very handsome.
And very old and very rare.
And you're giving it to Vicky?
Well, she does seem to share my appreciation for things from the past.
Yes. Yes, I know.
But when I mentioned my library the other day, she seemed so interested that, well, I thought I'd give her this one little volume.
Barnabas, I probably have no right to say this, but...
What is it?
Well, do you think it's such a good idea to be so involved in the past?
I'm not sure I know what you're talking about.
I do. Carolyn probably feels that Vicky is letting herself get too involved with the past. And I agree.
But surely it's a harmless pastime.
Yes, up to a point.
And I imagine that Miss Winters has not reached that point.
I'm not so sure.
But I really can't take you seriously.
Barnabas, do you know where Vicky went the other day?
Why, no.
I do. Because
Where?
I went with her.
But where?
To the cemetery. She insisted on putting flowers on Josette's grave.
She did.
Now, that's a little bit too far out.
Seems to me a very thoughtful and lovely thing to do.
That's not the way I see it. After all, what is Josette to Vicky anyway?
Well, the relationship seems a very natural one.
You mean the seance?
Well,
Yes. And that was probably our first mistake, that seance.
perhaps.
No. No, I'll tell you what our first mistake was. It was wearing those costumes.
Well, now, there I disagree.
Look, I really don't think this is something we should argue about, but... Well, do you think it's a good idea to encourage Vicky in acting this way?
Well, I doubt if it's as excessive as you two seem to think it is.
Oh, isn't it? Well, let me tell you one more thing. Vicky is beginning to see things, people. The other night at your party, she saw that little girl. And at the cemetery, she thought she saw Maggie Evans.
Maggie Evans?
That's right.
That's impossible.
We agree.
But Maggie Evans is dead.
Now you see what I'm trying to tell you.
And you were with her when this happened?
Yes, against my better judgment.
And you saw something?
Of course I didn't see anything. There was nothing to see. That's what I'm trying to say.
Of course, you saw nothing. There was nothing to see.
But Barnabas, doesn't it prove that Vicky's getting sort of carried away?
Possibly. She certainly couldn't have seen Maggie Evans. Any more than she could have seen that little girl on the stairs.
But are you going to leave right away?
Yes, I'm afraid so.
Did you see Mrs. Stoddard?
Well, no.
I think she's in the study.
Actually, Barnabas didn't come to see Mrs. Stoddard.
Oh?
I came to see you.
Oh, about Miss Hoffman.
Is she the woman who came to the house with you yesterday?
Yes. Did Willie tell you why she was there?
No, we didn't discuss it.
Well, she's doing a history of the famous New England families, and she wanted to do some research into the Collins family. So I told her that you were the one she should talk to.
So she's interested in the Collins family?
Yes. Well, I thought you'd be very excited by the idea. I know I am. I hope I can help her.
Well, I'm not sure I'm too enthusiastic about the idea.
But I was so sure you'd love it.
Well, I've always preferred to keep the family history within the family itself.
But it's too exciting. You have to share it.
I do, but only with people I know who have an appreciation for it.
Well, I'm sure that Miss Hoffman would.
Well, perhaps. But it's nothing that has to be settled right away, so if you'll excuse me.
Of course. But promise me one thing. That you'll at least think about letting Miss Hoffman do her research.
I will. Well, I must be going. The storm is coming.
Good night.
Oh, is that one of the books that you were talking about from your library?
Yes. But
May I see it?
it's really of very little interest.
How can you say that? You know I'd be very interested.
Well, then you must come and see the entire collection sometime.
Well, can't I at least look at this one? Please.
Well, I suppose so.
Just by touching it, I can tell that it's very, very old. It's like holding a piece of history in my hand. I don't understand.
What is it?
It's inscribed to me. From you.
Yes.
And you were going to leave without even letting me see it?
Well, I guess I may as well confess.
What are you talking about?
I didn't want Barnabas to give you the book.
What?
I'm sorry if I've created a somewhat clumsy situation.
Why didn't you want him to give me this book?
Mr. Devlin felt that you've become too enamored of the past as it is.
But a book! I don't understand you, Burke. What is this all about?
Okay, so I went a little overboard. But I just think you ought to get off this history kick for a while.
Do you mean that you actually told Mr. Collins that he could not give me this book?
I'm sorry, but I really must excuse myself. I really shouldn't have intruded to start with.
That's not true at all. It was very thoughtful of you to bring me this book, and I thank you.
You're very welcome. Good night.
You ready to go? I need a drink.
I'm not sure that I want to go out tonight.
Oh, come on, Vicky. You're not that sore at me.
No, I'm not sore at you. I just like to stay at home, that's all.
Sorry. What you need is a good time. Good and loud, and I'm going to give it to you.
No! Burke, please!
Vicky, what's the matter with you?
Nothing!
I suppose you'd rather curl up with that ridiculous book.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Plenty.
You sound as though I'm going to be swallowed up by the past.
Vicky, let's go. The storm is about to start.
Look, please, don't be angry, but I'd like to stay at home tonight.
But I will be angry. As a matter of fact, I'm angry right now.
Oh, we can go out some other time soon.
I can't change your mind?
No. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night.
Good night.
Who is it?
Oh, Mr. Collins, it's Vicki Winters.
Miss Winters, come in.
I can't stay long. The storm is about to break, but I wanted to talk to you.
Well, what is it?
I want to apologize.
But what for?
We all behaved so badly.
Of course not.
Oh, yes, we did. Carolyn and Burke and I did, too.
But everyone was most polite.
Oh, yes, most polite. Criticizing you up and down for giving me that lovely book.
Well, perhaps because they don't understand our appreciation for things gone before.
I wasn't very polite either.
Now, there I disagree completely.
I never really thanked you.
Your acceptance is thanks enough.
I loved having it. I just want you to know that.
You're very kind.
Then you do forgive us, all of us.
Of course, if there's anything to forgive.
Well, I'd better be getting back, but I hope we can talk soon.
I hope I can persuade you to stay just for a moment.
I don't want to take the chance. But I hope you'll let Miss Hoffman do her research.
We'll see.
And I hope she'll let me help her.
Does the Collins history mean that much to you?
Isn't that obvious? Good night.
But I believe the storm has already started.
Well, then I'd better hurry.
Oh, you can't go out in that.
But I have to.
If you wait until it let up just a little bit.
I'm so sure that I'd have time to get here and make it back to the house.
Perhaps it'll blow over soon.
I don't think so. It doesn't look like that kind of a storm.
Well, going out in it now is impossible.
But I have to get back.
Well, I can always tell Willie to tell them not that you're quite all right.
Oh, no, that won't be necessary. Nobody should go out on a night like this.
Well, I'm sure that he's capable of going across in the storm.
It's all right. No one will miss me. I don't know how I could have been so stupid. I saw that storm coming. Well, I guess I'm going to have to stay here. I'm very sorry.
Please forgive me if I'm delighted.
You're very kind.
Have you ever been in this house before in a storm?
Well, I've never been in a storm like this.
This house was built for storms.
What do you mean?
This room is never lovelier than when it's lit by lightning. Look. And the thunder echoing down the corridors.
I see.
It was for storms like this that this house was built.
I think I know what you mean.
Do you?
Yes. What am I going to do if it doesn't stop?
We'll wait here.
I don't think you understand. I'm afraid this storm is going to last for the whole night.
Well, if my company wearies you, you can always rest a while. Don't forget, Josette's room is ready at all times.
Yes, of course. Josette's room.
Dark Shadows is a Dan Curtis production.